Hey, y'all. Welcome to Sermons on the Side. I'm Brad.
And I'm Richard.
And this is a podcast where we take everyday moments, big or small, and we find the story, the meaning, the sermon tucked inside.
Whether this is your first time or you've been listening all along, we're just glad you're here.
So pull up a chair, hit play on that drive to work, or just hang out with us as we dig into life, faith, and everything in between.
Sermons on the Side, finding meaning in the everyday.
My close friends will tell you that I have a reputation for not seeing like really well-known classic, sometimes classic movies. It depends on like the type of classic.
Right. Different definitions for different people.
Yeah, I don't know. So
I hear what you're saying.
You can come at me.
So it's a thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody on movie seeing. Yeah, I'll raise you a Titanic and, I don't know what I just said. I'll see your Titanic and I'll raise you a Shawshank Redemption.
Okay,
greatest movie of all time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, more to
Do I get
that.
at least a little bit of street cred back?
Oh, yeah, just by saying Shawshank is at the top of your list.
Okay, cool.
Respect restored. Hey everybody, it's Sermons on the Side. You are here for another episode with your favorite hosts, Brad Williams.
I thought you were only. I didn't know that was a pluralized thing until I heard hosts. Like your favorite host. I was like, dog.
Your favorite host is Brad Williams.
No, it's not. It is Richard Moore. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. We're both here to walk you through another episode of Sermons on the Side. Excited about this. Love doing it. Always a pleasure to sit across the table from you.
Oh man, it's a pleasure. And I'm just excited. Very, very excited to hear the Sermon on the Side. Hey, quick question. How's your bracket looking? You feeling happy March Madness Day, by the way?
Thank you. It is March Madness Day, Thursday. There were a couple of play-in games earlier in the week.
Right.
But Thursday's when it really rolls out.
So on a scale of 1 to confident in your bracket, can you survive at least the day, you think?
I think so. I think I might make it to the end of this first weekend before my bracket gets totally busted.
Yeah, I just, these are the days.
I know. It's so much fun, and I'm not even a big basketball fan.
Ooh.
But I'm telling you, man, when these scrappy teams get to just slinging up those buzzer beaters at the end of these games, because it's survive and advance. It's win and you keep going, lose and you go home. There's just some intensity to it. I love it.
It's the big dance. Yeah. My one of my best friends in the whole wide world, his name is Chad, and he works for Turner Sports, and he is in charge. He's one of the few people that is in charge of like all of the social media aspect of March Madness, and so we refer to him as March Chadness.
Oh, see,
and so I don't get to talk to him for the month of March, and so I miss him. I do. I'm just this is therapeutic for me.
I thought there was something a little. You looked a little down.
Yeah, I miss my buddy. I'm ready for March to. It was hilarious at his and his wife's wedding. Her vows were in death and in March.
Oh, God.
That's what she said.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's
a true
thing.
statement.
But anyway, I hope our listeners are, feeling good about their brackets.
Yeah, good luck.
And I wonder if maybe over the next couple of weeks, even in our Sermons on the Side community with our Facebook page, maybe you guys chime in. Let us know. Keep an eye on the Facebook page. Maybe we'll be asking for some conversation about what are whose bracket is the most busted.
Who's the most busted?
But anyway, it's pretty fun this time of year.
Well, I'll tell you what, we love, the reason we keep saying that about feedback is we love receiving the feedback.
No
and
doubt.
I know last episode I talked a lot about the send us a text feature. which is at the bottom of the description, or it's within the description at the bottom of the episode.
Yeah.
All you do is you click on it. It redirects to your text. It sends us a total anonymous thing, unless you sign your name. And, it can be on both ends of the spectrum. At the end of episode 7, we got a text from a listener in North Carolina.
Yes.
Who I don't know who it is, but he said, or they said, I don't even know if it's he or she,
right.
said, I love how episode 7 was porpoisely focused on dolphins. I mean, come on.
I see.
That is top tier.
You know what? I don't think listeners to other podcasts have that kind of quality comedy going on.
Porpoisely.
I
mean, it's excellent.
I
had to Google the word. I thought he misspelled it. I thought he misspelled it. I was like, wow, we got to,
Is this a misused phrase?
A misused phrase.
But seriously.
So that's one end of the spectrum.
Exactly. And I would like to say that I wish... we want that listener to identify themselves.
Come forward, North Carolina.
To receive your prize for just being sharp.
Round of applause for North Carolina.
Absolutely.
We're on pins and needles.
And on that note, we did also receive, after the episode 8, the Stitches episode. Of course, Brad, you remember that episode big time because it's the story of your daughter busting her chin open and having to get stitches. And one of our just really loyal listeners, her name's Joanne Freeman. She lives here in the Columbus, Georgia area. Good friend of myself and my wife Rhonda, and she let us know how meaningful the Stitches episode was for her. And she went about saying that she could just really sense that the way you were describing how it felt as a father for you to watch your daughter suffer and be in pain, she sensed God's presence in those moments as she was listening to you tell the story. And she said, I know my Heavenly Father has wept over me many times, but he never left me and he's carried me through. Oh, it was just so cool.
Oh, man. That is so awesome.
So, Joanne, thank you for sharing your heart and being generous with your encouragement and sharing just a bit of your story with us.
So if you want to make us laugh, if you want to make us cry, or if there's something that we can come alongside and pray for and pray over for you, use that send us a text feature. It's awesome, and we would love to hear from you.
Absolutely would. Now, Brad, I'm sorry. I forgot that I really need to mention something that in our last episode we were talking about. Our segment was about misheard song lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And boy, have we heard from friends. Mostly, just some individual. We've been hearing some doozies. So that we really love hearing that. Hearing people respond to our segments. But I actually caught a little flack from more than one friend who feel like that I let you off the hook on something that I should have called you on in real time during our segment last week.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the misheard lyric from the famous song from the movie Titanic, My Heart Will Go On.
Oh boy.
And you had the nerve to say in public, in front of everybody and out there into the world that, I know who Celine Dion is.
Of course.
But I've never heard the song, nor have I seen the movie.
Okay.
And I just kept going. And people went all Kevin Hart on me. And they were like, no, whoa. You ain't just going to blow past that like it didn't happen. And I did. I just, like, you never even said those just really disturbing words.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm just concerned, man.
Yeah. Okay.
That we haven't seen Titanic.
Well,
I mean, what should we do about this?
I don't know. Well, I guess I need to see the movie. First of all, I also received flack from that. I do know that song. I just didn't recognize it by the title.
Okay.
I know that
or
song.
by the way I was singing it, which was awful.
Left some to be desired. Celine Dion. Well, but no, it is a true statement. I've never seen the movie Titanic.
Okay.
And my close friends will tell you that I have a reputation for not seeing like really well-known classic sometimes classic movies.
I see.
It depends on like the type of classic.
Right. Different definitions for different people.
Yeah, I don't know. So
I hear what you're saying.
you can come at me.
So it's a thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
I'll go toe to toe with anybody on movie seeing. Yeah, I'll raise you a Titanic, and I don't know what I just said. I'll see your Titanic, and I'll raise you a Shawshank Redemption.
Okay,
greatest movie of all time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, more to
Do I get
come
Do I
on
get
that.
at least a little bit of street cred back?
Oh yeah, just by saying Shawshank is
Yeah.
at the top of your list.
Okay, great.
Respect restored.
Thank you.
So anyway,
Well, for those listeners that I've offended, I will. How about this? I will watch the movie Titanic
mm-hmm.
during my paternity leave. At some point during paternity leave,
which is
I will.
coming up. By the way,
Yeah.
right?
By the time this episode releases, I could be on paternity leave. I don't know. Man, we are at any day, man. Let me check my phone real quick. Nope, not yet. All right, we're good for a couple more minutes.
Listen, it is so close to this baby arriving that Brad, as we've been recording, we have a contingency plan of how, because I don't know how to handle all this equipment, and so we have a plan of we idiot proofed our tear down process.
Throw it in closet.
You may have to run out the door.
Yeah, mom, and shout out Gigi, who is my mom.
Okay,
is currently at my house helping with kids right now. But yeah, I'm 6 minutes away from my house. We are 8 minutes away from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on standby, but we are good. We are here, and I am excited for episode 9 of Sermons on the Side.
Well, listen, this sermon on the side comes from a real life story that happened for me late last year. I was with a colleague of mine at an event that was being hosted by a company in Atlanta that our business serves. And so my colleague and I were doing some presentations, and it was a great, successful event. There was probably about 150 employees. It was sort of an all hands on deck event, and they had brought in Chick-fil-A boxes and vendors. It went really well. At the end of the event, it was time to kind of tear down. And so myself and my colleague, his name is Matt. He's one of our listeners. He follows us on the Facebook page, the Sermons on the Side Facebook page.
Shout out.
So Matt and I said we're going to get involved in helping tear down the tables and chairs. So we got into stacking chairs, okay?
Got it.
Now, I will pause at this point and say that this particular event was not a church faith-based event, but I think most people who have attended any church for more than, let's say, 2 months knows about stacking chairs.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? You don't get very far in the faith community without hearing somebody say at the end of a meeting or an event, "Hey, y'all, we need some help with these chairs."
Anybody stick after and help us stack some chairs? Oh, my ride's here, coach. Sorry, but you're the pastor. What are you talking about? I'm kidding.
So
none of our pastors.
So we're going to stack these chairs. Now, these are kind of the newer, fancier folding chairs. You know, folding chairs, boy, it's always kind of a mixed bag. You never know if you're going to have nasty, uncomfortable folding chairs, but you know, these newer plastic folding chairs, they're good, they're decent, they're comfortable, reasonably, and they fold up pretty thinly and concisely. And so you can stack them in and cram them in different nooks and crannies of whatever building where you store your chairs. This particular event had this system for the chairs, and I've seen this before. It's really cool. You have all these 100 or so chairs, and there's this plastic tray that you lay down on the ground as the platform on which you're going to stack all your chairs. And it's got these little notches and grooves in it, so when you fold the chair, it seats in there. It sits in that little tray perfectly. And it's really cool. And then if you get that chair seated in there properly, that first one, And then you just stack the rest of them accordingly, facing the same direction. You can't have it upside down different than the original one. But if you stay with that first chair, man, you can stack 50 or more chairs.
Come on.
And then you just ratchet strap them, and it's a great way to do it.
You got to get you some middle school boys that turn it into like a competition.
Oh, yes, to get...
Because all of a sudden they think that however many chairs that they stack, that's how many like high school girls are going to be impressed with them. You know, 8th graders are like, oh, I'm about to get me 25 chairs stacked up on this. We're like, dog, you're like, 5'2". Chill out.
It's not going to happen, right? So anyway, it's a cool system, and I've used it before. I've been at other churches that have this same kind of tray deal. And for the 150 chairs, they had 3 or 4 different trays, and so we were stacking them up, right? All over the room, people are making their stacks of chairs. So Matt and I were getting involved, want to be servants, want to help. So we're starting to stack. We're getting it done. We're kind of going there, and as you set a chair on, you kind of have to jiggle it just a little bit to make sure it kind of sits in there correctly. Yeah. And so we're doing that.
Almost like it locks into place.
Kind of does, right? So then Matt and I, we're working on this one stack of chairs because we're kind of in this one area of the room. And then someone interrupts our chair stacking to ask us a question. So we end up having a little conversation, probably the last 3 minutes. After the conversation's over, Matt and I turn around. Now we're going to go back to stacking chairs. Something horrible has happened.
Oh, no.
Somebody, at some point when we stopped working on this one stack and making sure that all the chairs were seated properly and locked in together and in a proper stack, in the 3 minutes that we were not involved in that, some people started getting a little sloppy with their chair stacking.
Oh.
Little sloppy.
Been there.
And I look over at Matt and I said, Matt, dude, look at this. There's about 6 or 7, 8, maybe 9 or 10 chairs that are a little wonky.
Okay.
It's not that bad, but you can just tell that stack that was so even was starting to get, like, it was starting to lean. Those last 9 chairs or so, they weren't in there right. And so they were kind of off to an angle.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, doggone it. I said, Matt, check this out. Watch this. I'll fix this. I go over there, and I find the one that was the first one that got stacked wrong.
It was probably way down in there,
yeah,
wasn't it?
like I said, at least 8 or 9 chairs deep. But I got in there, made a little adjustment, boom. I said, check it out. Check it out, Matt, I fixed it. He's like, that's impressive, man. That's impressive. And then that stack ended up being fine, right?
Sweet.
As they finished it off. And then ratchet strapped it down. Well, then Matt and I take a glance over to the other stacks. Oh, my word.
Oh, yeah.
Chaos. I mean, it was just like what we have descended into madness.
Yeah, you start wondering if these people have something against these chairs. You know?
It's horrible.
Like, what are you doing?
We looked over and we saw a stack of chairs that about halfway up, it looked like people just started throwing them on there.
I'm not going to lie to you. Can I just be honest with you for a second?
Lay it on me.
If I see a half-stacked thing of chairs that is in pristine condition,
yeah,
I have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? I really want to make the next chair in line with that. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I've got a goal to meet. I've got some accountability there. You know, I don't want to have the chair that's wrong in the stack, you know? But if I'm just being honest with you, if I see a stack that is already just absolutely yikes, I'm just chunking mine up there, dude. Just good luck.
Yeah, right.
Yoink. I'm going to let some, that's so bad for me to, I'm sorry.
No,
that was
I feel
probably
you, though.
my stack of chairs. I think we were at the same event and we just didn't know each other at the time. And I think you're talking about my stack of chairs.
I'm telling you, if I could, I wish I could, had taken a picture of this and we would post it if I could have found it. But I'm telling you, man, it wasn't like that one I told you about a moment ago where they just kind of were just angling a little off beam, just a little. This other stack we glance over at, man, you've got legs of chair poking out in different directions.
The chaos.
I mean, somebody's going to get hurt walking by that thing because at some point it's going to fall, and great will be the fall of it because, I mean, it was just off the rails. And I looked at Matt and I said, Matt, that's crazy how I'm sitting there judging that stack of chairs. And I said, but you know what happened over on our stack earlier? That's how you get to that crazy point over there.
Yeah.
I mean, there was only 8 or 9 chairs that weren't quite right. But if somebody hadn't gone and fixed that, eventually it would have been a bigger mess as it relates to a stack of chairs.
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Oh, I'm seeing the sermon now.
Well, and that's the thing. My friend Matt and I, we started talking and we said, that's how our lives go. If it doesn't take that much of a deviation from a healthy approach to life, if we deviate just a slight bit, at first it's not even noticeable, especially if you're going kind of at a quick pace and life is crazy and we're not in really bad shape here, but we're just a little off kilter. But 8 or 9 chairs later, it was more noticeable. And eventually, if it's not addressed and corrected, it's going to be that gnarly looking stack of chairs where stuff is going in directions it was never intended to go. And nothing good's going to come of that. Because they're not going to be able to send it back to the rental place in that condition.
Right.
And it might fall off, damage the chairs, hurt somebody, whatever.
Yeah.
So Matt and I started talking about how in our own stories those things happen.
Yeah.
And we find ourselves getting off kilter. And sometimes it has snuck up on us. And suddenly we take a real glance and look and see how far off base we have gone, how far off center. And then we say, what can I do to right the ship? And I find when I go back into my story, what I realize is sometimes when I did realize that I needed to make some changes, I needed to make some corrections, I'm going to use the phrase, it felt like I was too many chairs high to make the correction. And at the best I could do would be to try to steer it back into the right direction and hope that when it's all said and done, I'd be back to center, but it would still be all off kilter.
Right.
But when I found the different times when my life has gone off the rails, my instinct has been to say, it's just not, I can't fix it. It's not fixable.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes complete sense. And I think logically, maybe sometimes we even trick ourselves into thinking, all right, hey, this chair that's a little off kilter down here, the way that I'm going to fix that is that I'm going to keep stacking chairs that are in order. Okay. All these chairs are not the problem, right? Exactly. These are in line. These look great. These are stacking. These are floating and just sticking and stacking really well. But all of a sudden, the direction is still not correct, right? And because of the first one. Yep.
Yeah.
And so instead of doubling down on correct chairs, right? What'd you have to do? You had to deconstruct it. You had to take off some of those chairs that maybe they weren't the problem, but you had to get to the problem.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And something else that Matt and I thought about that day is that how many times in my own life, or maybe in the life of somebody that I'm trying to help, maybe a friend who's struggling with some messiness and brokenness in their life, and they genuinely want help, so they'll come and they'll say, and let's stay in this language of chairs, right?
Okay.
This friend will come to me and he'll say, all right, here's the mess of my chair stack. Can you help me fix this one? And he's pointing to the one on the top.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, I get it. That one on the top is causing you major stress and problems. And it's probably going to be the one that will fall and hurt you or break itself.
Yeah, because it's the one on top.
So that is a problem.
Sure.
But we can't just sit there and try to fix that one.
Yeah.
Because that one's in the trouble it's in because of the 120 or 25 chairs down.
That's right.
So we're going to have to use your term, we're going to have to deconstruct. We're going to have to work on that. So the sermon on the side is, there's a level of courage it takes to acknowledge that things are not the way they should be.
Mm.
So that's huge to be able to look at it and say, that's a mess. Or look at our lives and say, I am a mess. But then there's another level of courage that is necessary. Mm. That awareness is obviously the first step, but it has to be followed by the willingness to break it down and dig as deep as we need to get to the root of the problem and to get to what actually started this whole mess in the first place.
Yep. And I love that image of you walking with a friend and identifying it together, because I feel like oftentimes, and I know in my own life, that my chair stack was so messy and it was so gross that I couldn't accurately decipher what was the original chair that was the problem. There were so many to choose from that I needed other people to kind of walk alongside me. I needed other Matts to come and say, hey, which one do we need to tackle first?
Yes.
And I love that. I'm often reminded by the illustration in flying. I've got a aviation buddy. Shout out Chris. There's a rule called 1 in 60, meaning if you're 1 degree off for every 60 miles you go, you're going to be a whole mile off, which is to say, if you were traveling cross country from New York to Los Angeles, you would not end up in Los Angeles. You'd end up in a whole different state. If you were just 1 degree off, the whole flight might be okay.
Right.
It was smooth. It was totally fine, but you were just off 1 little degree. You arrive in a destination that you never intended to. And I hope that this isn't, fear, like this isn't meant to be a scary conversation. This is meant to be like, hey, let's take a healthy, accurate inventory of our hearts and of our minds and of our actions and say, hey, is my chair stack straight? Is it leaning? Is there one chair that needs a little bit of maybe I just got to shimmy it one good time and then everything comes. Or maybe you're like me.
Come on.
Where 5 years ago, you needed to take every chair off that stack and reevaluate.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I appreciate that description. And there's a passage of Scripture, one particular verse that comes to mind is found in the book of Jeremiah, verse 31, chapter 31. It's a chapter that has some great promises in it about getting restored to wholeness. And it's in the context of the nation of Israel at that time that were so totally lost in the woods. I mean, but God was still promising them, I can restore you. I can bring you back. And that's the power and the beauty of this sermon on the side and of our Heavenly Father and how he speaks to his broken sons and daughters. And he promises we can we can do this. I can bring you back. And so I encourage you, wade through Jeremiah chapter 31. You'll notice a few prophecies that actually relate to the life of Christ. It's just a lot of good stuff. But it's all, the whole chapter is he's trying to send the message like there is hope for your future. There is hope. And in the midst of that, while he's promising that he's going to bring his people back to the land that they're promised, he says something through the prophet Jeremiah in verse 21 of Jeremiah 31. And he says to them, he had just said in the previous verse, I long for my people. I long for my son, my child, my daughter. I long for them. And then he says, set up road signs, put up guideposts, mark well the path by which you came, and then come back again.
Oh, wow.
He says,
Wow.
Part of the process, there is no shortcut around this. Part of the process to being restored and getting back to health and wholeness, part of the process is retracing our steps. Yeah. And we just have to be willing to do that and say, I will face it. I will face what happened. I will face when it happened. I'll talk about it. I'll wrestle through it. And, it probably won't be all smooth and clean. It'll probably be messy. But I will mark well the path I took, and then I'll let God walk me back out.
Man.
Because that's what
so good, dude. And I know that there are listeners out there right now that this is resonating with in a deep and meaningful way.
Mm-hmm.
And that excites me so much. And I just want to encourage you to lean into that and
yes,
to reach out to a trusted friend. Maybe it's a Matt, maybe it's a Richard, a spouse or a friend.
Mm-hmm.
But lean into that and allow the Lord to graciously walk that journey with us.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And it's a beautiful promise. We'll see miracles happen when we let the Lord do that for us. Hey, got a couple minutes for a quick segment?
Oh yeah. I just hope that I don't get roasted again.
No, this is really more on me. I'm kind of exposing a weirdness
Okay.
In me. And this would be one of those segments called Get It Together, Richard.
Get it together.
Yeah, get it together, man. And I'm saying it to myself and it has to do with fumbles in leaving phone messages with people.
Oh, well, that's already happened to us this week.
Oh, yes, it did.
When you were like, hey, man, busy week, busy time. I'm, doing this in Birmingham. I'm going Mark 3 all day. I had to go get my Bible. I was like, dog, what's happening in Mark 3 that I had done? Oh, you mean Mach 3.
Mach 3. I was trying to quote
dog,
the original
your Siri,
Top Gun. Oh,
yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. So I am getting better and better at voice texting.
Wow.
Okay. I really am.
Okay.
I mean, I do it all the time. I'll push that little microphone and then I'll leave a text.
And you think that you're getting better at that?
I do. I know Mark 3 notwithstanding. So
I just so you know, I'm going to start keeping a tally. Anytime I see a sent with Siri, I'm going to determine whether or not there is or is not some sort of error. I'm not talking about grammatical. Oh, there was a period where there shouldn't be, but like if a word was, not the right word. Because I just want to say quick inventory real quick. I mean, I don't think you're batting 50%, So if you're getting better at it, all right. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Hey, folks, he ain't lying. All right. Anyway, I have this confidence now in my text. So when I'm doing this voice text, I'm saying things like, "Hey, how you doing?" ? And you have to say question mark and it puts it in there.
Yeah, of course.
And then you say, "Hey, I was thinking about something, comma, about our meeting tomorrow. Do you think blah 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 blah?" And I do that, and I'm quick, man, and it's working. But then I recently found myself I was leaving a voicemail on somebody's phone. All right.
Oh, no.
So I just call them.
Oh, no.
And I leave a voicemail, and I'm just telling them
Bernardi,
stuff.
I know it's coming. I know it's coming.
And I said on the voicemail, "Hey man, how you doing?" Question mark. And I just keep going, and I say comma, and I say exclamation point, and I go ... and then I think, oh no, this is a
this
voicemail.
is audio only.
And I thought, get it together, Richard.
I would pay a lot of money to hear that voicemail. If there is a listener out there that has that voicemail, please send it in. I promise, as technical master of this show, to include it on future episodes if that is
absolute gold.
ever in my possession. Dude, that is hilarious.
Jeez.
Get it together, man.
I know. I have to get it together. And I would love, it would make me feel better if there are listeners out there who might have some of their own embarrassing stories about leaving messages.
I
All right,
love
so thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for that incredible sermon on the side. Thank you, listeners, for joining us again. Hey, really quick, we don't ask much, but we do ask that if you are enjoying this, please give us a 5-star review in either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening.
Yep.
These platforms really prioritize highly rated podcasts in their search results and in their algorithms. So whether or not you realize it or not, it really
does.
helps us. And so if you're listening to Spotify, you could do something crazy and then also go rate us an Apple Podcast. I'm just saying.
You could.
I'm not going to ask you again. I promise we're not going to be those people. But it really does help us, and it helps us spread the word of this incredible podcast to other people. So thank you guys so much. And, man, and really looking forward to next week. Should we give any spoilers?
Yes. Well, we have a guest. Okay.
Tune in.
Yeah.
We've got a guest. It's going to be a great one.
Y'all just don't know.
We'll see you next Thursday.
All right. Thank you, man.